Some stretching and core you can do on the foam roller, lying vertically along it, vertically along your spine. So you sit at the very bottom edge and then roll back gently onto the foam roller because I want your head supported on it. So first is to try to get the connection of your spine with the foam roller. I don't want a gap so that I could fit a hand or even a credit card there. See how that's a rib flare. So it depends on where your tightness is, but try to get those ribs down and that spine flat against the foam roller. And I love the connection of the spine here with the foam roller. So then we open up our arms 90-degree bent into a T. If this is too aggressive, you would take your arms out straight out to a T. This would be field goal, bent arms, and straight out to a T. So straight out to a T is a more gentle stretch, specifically for pecs. 90-degree bend would also get your internal rotators, so that's a little more aggressive. Ideally, we want those elbows and hands to rest on the ground. I'm mommy mode, so holding babies makes me quite tight. All right, so then from here, you can just enjoy this stretch for a while. Big, deep breaths. Let your breathing melt everything down. And then the other is waking up the shoulder blades and massaging them along the foam roller. So I'm going to drag my elbows as low to the ground as I can down towards my rib cage and back to shoulder level. Drag them down. So this mimics the lat pull down motion of the exercise machine, the lat pull down. As we drag the elbows and the shoulder blades down the back, it should lengthen the back of the neck. And it should feel good, like you're getting a nice little shoulder blade massage along that foam roller, waking up some muscles back there. So a great way to more actively open the chest and wake up some postural muscles of the posterior. And then rest open and see if you've gained a little range of motion. I love that. I love to add a chest stretch, shoulder blade engagement whenever we can. Okay, so hands down by your sides or on your hips, and we're going to work pelvic tilts. Feet are flat on the ground, knees bent. Pelvic tilt. So imagine your pelvis is a bowl of water and you're trying to tip that bowl of water into your belly button. Tip, tip. So your spine is staying flat on the foam roller and you're just working that pelvis. Ideally, over time, you're not going to feel your upper body try to do it, your upper abs. You're just going to be able to independently move your pelvis. But at first, use the assisters if you need them. Pushing through the feet, for example, squeezing through the buns. But over time, gain that awareness just in the low abs. Okay, so then I want you to find the ab engagement where your spine is pressed into the foam roller and lift one leg at a time up into tabletop position where your lower limbs are parallel to the floor, knees over hips. So this is work to stay on the foam roller. Typically we don't raise our arms up because it's hard. So you've got your hands down on the ground to support you. And there are a couple things to do here. So you can, keeping that rib to hip connection and the spinal connection, you can do alternating leg drops. You can drop only as far, I want you to drop only as far as you can, keeping this connection with the rib to hips, keeping it in the abs, not letting the low back feel it. You can go all the way down to tap the ground without resting on the ground, as long as, again, you can keep that ab connection and that you feel it in the abs and you don't feel it in the low back. So as I peek, I notice my knees tend to creep up a little high. That's okay if that assists you to keep your abs engaged and your back not doing it, but if you can keep your knees over hips, it's harder. So bent leg, and then you can also, if your hamstrings aren't too tight, do straight leg. So legs straight up in the air. One lowers, only as low as you can keep that pelvic, the rib to hip connection, and the abs engaged, and the other alternating. One stays up, one lowers. I don't want to take it down here because that's more than likely going to pull on your low back. So we want to feel each vertebrae connected to the foam roller. So you've got your leg drops. Another option here is kicks. So if you're feeling that those are just challenging your low back too much, just work the crunches. Crunch, one leg at a time. Crunch. I find some people are so tight in the hamstrings that this one feels good and really targets the abs. So you're crunching one leg at a time. If your hamstrings are too tight, you have a bent knee and you're crunching knee and heel towards you. If your hamstrings have the flexibility, you keep the leg straight, toes flexed, which you can't see. There it is, it's flexed. And draw it towards you. Then you really feel this turn on the abs. And then when you've mastered that, then you can work on the opposite leg lifting, and you'd start maybe not so far away and work your way farther. You can work them against each other, or you can challenge really hard to keep one straight up. So against each other is going to assist keeping that crunch. Also work flexibility, keeping one leg straight up. Whew, it's a lot harder, and it forces you to really use those abs. So that's the leg up position. Additionally, if you feel like you've mastered this and you're comfortable and feel stable on this, you can add reverse crunches or tuck ups. So I would just tuck the tailbone and try to lift the lower pelvis. I love these on the foam roller. They just feel so good. And whether on or off the foam roller, I find these to be very challenging for most people. So it just really targets the abs beautifully. So you're really just curling that tailbone and the pelvis off, lifting the feet up towards the ceiling. It's a small move, but boy, is it effective. Then you can rotate the knees to the left to point towards your left shoulder and tuck up from there. So now we're getting those right obliques. Woohoo! I love these. Again, small move, not jerky, controlled, and really isolated. And think about the area you're trying to contract. Right obliques, right side abs. And then switch, rotate the knees towards the right shoulder and crunch up. Crunching from those side abs, side and low abs. Peeling that tailbone or that sacrum off of the foam roller, slowly and controlled. Really, if you talk the whole time, it really helps time fly. Exhaling with the crunch helps to contract the abs. And then back to center. So that would be the leg up portion. And then I pretty much everyone I've had do crunches on the foam roller feels them so much better on the foam roller than anywhere else. So you've got the hands behind the head option or hands across your chest option. If your hands are behind your head, I don't want the elbows forward. I want them back, and I want your gaze to be up on the ceiling. Try not to lead with the head. I want you to lead with the rib cage, the ribs crunching down towards the pelvis. So you've got a full crunch, and you're trying to keep the ribs down even as your body comes back. I have the splayed ribs issue. I've got, I had diastasis recti, so there's my excuse. That's when the abs split with pregnancy. I had 3 finger widths, so that was pretty intense. So the ribs stay hugged down, and they travel down to get you in that crunch. And on a side note, if you have diastasis recti, currently, don't do crunches or push-ups or planks. That actually makes it worse. So I'm doing just a few just to share the exercise. And you can always add pulses. At the top, you pulse the ribs down towards the hips. Little exhales make those ribs do the work, not the neck. So that is a wonderful little array of exercises. And I would just go back and do them again. Chest stretch. We really can't get enough of that chest stretch. Working the ribs down, so in your chest stretch, the ribs sure want to flare and the back wants to come up, so we really want to get that connection. That's where the foam roller comes in this chest stretch, and open up. So you've got the chest stretch, the squeeze downs, the shoulder blade squeeze downs. Again, working to keep those ribs hugged down. They sure want to flare when we try to use our shoulder blades. And then we've got the pelvic tilts, and I note that the second round of pelvic tilts feel a lot looser than the first. And then we've got the legs up in the air. You've got bent leg alternating, or straight leg alternating. Remember, if you do splits, you're assisting. It's still a lot of ab work, but you are assisting the back, which is great. Or if you're keeping the legs straight up, you are challenging the back a little more, which is great. So listen to your body. Which one feels better? You have the optional tuck ups, straight ahead, to the right, to the left, and then crunches. Ribs hug down, ribs travel down more, set of crunches, add a set of pulses, and start again. Now a bonus exercise would be working the back of the neck. You can just stay here, finding your rib to hip connection, finding your spinal connection with the foam roller. I call these chin tucks. We're lengthening the back of the neck. I'm just pushing into the foam roller gently, lengthening the back of the neck, and release. These should feel good. They should never strain. They should never be so hard. You should never push so hard that it hurts you. You should feel that it's creating length back here. We tend to have forward head, and some people it's even hard to lie back on this foam roller. So you can do this upright as well. But here's a great way to do this, if it's comfortable for you. Chin presses down, and so does the back of the base of the skull. Push into the foam roller and release. Push and release. And you can see, if I drop my arms, my shoulders kind of drop and open up as I do so, because forward head creates forward rounded shoulders as well. They lend to each other. So enjoy all those options.